and the YouTube link where we're going live. I'll just
Okay.
share that on social media, and then
Yeah.
and we can
We
also
are
share the
already live
Slido
now.
link. For,
We are already
okay,
live, by the
that's
way,
great.
so that's fine, I guess. But I'm sharing you the link now.
Yeah, cool. Shango, can you share the Slido link on the YouTube?
Yes.
I think this is much better in
Better.
terms of managing things.
Yeah,
We'll have more
initially
people
the
as well.
plan was to use. Yeah, initially our plan was to use Slido, but I was like, let people come in and interact with Pawan. But yeah,
That's fine. That's fine.
cool. Uh, so let me go. Like, let's. Can we also see the questions which people are posting on YouTube here,
Yes,
or
yes.
maybe only you
I
can
think there's
see?
an option. No, there's an option you can see the comments.
Uh, okay.
Can you find it?
Cool. No, I don't. I think maybe
Then what you
because I'm
can do?
not the host.
Maybe you can open the YouTube itself on the side and just like mute or just like pause the video for some time, and then the question will still come as live chat.
Yeah, cool. I'll do that. So yeah, let's start once again. You were telling your journey about how you moved to Flutter and how like oh sorry,
Yeah.
after that we were discussing that like is Flutter gonna die, and what do you think about that, and what actually matters for people who are learning
I
Flutter?
think let's start from the scratch itself, and because it's a new audience and everything, so I would love to give the stage to Flutter like UAE to start everything from scratch, and then probably I'll jump in.
Okay, that's great. So, hey guys, this is Divyanshu. I'm a organizer at Flutter Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and I'm a mobile lead at Securrency. Uh, so we are today having this Ask Pawan Anything session where you can go and ask Pawan anything you like, and but it's always up to him. He won't like answer your question if you don't feel appropriate. Uh, like if you have any question, either put it on the YouTube comments, or I think we have a Slido link where we have got so many questions. And I'm happy to be here. Let's get started.
Can you share the
Shangol,
Slido link with me? I can pin it in the comment itself.
sure, one sec.
So you can ask your question in the YouTube comment itself, or you can go to Slido for if you want to highlight your question even better.
I could share
Yeah,
chat.
thanks.
Cool.
So yeah, I have pasted the link as well, and this is the link, right? Let me just show it. Yeah, I think it's perfect. Do we have any smaller URL or maybe? Okay, I think I pasted the entire thing. Let me just remove some of it. Yeah, yeah, let's start. In the meantime, we can get question from here itself.
Yeah. So yeah, over to you, Shangol. Can you just introduce yourself? Uh,
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone, and thanks for the people who also like joined to us in YouTube, and thanks also Pavan, the quick fix from your side to make this stream like possible. About myself, hi everyone, I'm Chungor Fogal. I'm a Flutter developer from Hungary, but right now based in Dubai. I'm working for Talabat, which is a large like food delivery company here in the Middle East. The good thing that we are using Flutter and and we are also supporting the community here. And I would like to pass the microphone to Samia. Thanks everyone for joining.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samia Ashraf. Hello, Pawan. Welcome and welcome, everyone. So, I'm also part of the organizing team here at Flutter UAE, Flutter Abu Dhabi, and Dubai. And I also am an ambassador at the Women Tech Makers and also an organizer at GDG Dubai. And I work for an IT startup here in Dubai called BB Array. And yeah, so I was on a break in the last event, but now I'm back to host even better events. And yeah, I have always seen Pawan's videos on YouTube. In fact, I started Flutter with YouTube in with Pawan's videos, so I'm really excited for this session. And yeah, enjoy everyone.
Thank you so much, Samia, and thanks everyone. I think I can still introduce myself, even though it's going on my channel, but I think there's a lot of new people. So hi everyone, Pawan this side, and as you know, I run this YouTube channel. Apart from it, I have been doing Flutter from a longer time, and I'm doing consultancy for some of the companies. I used to work in a company called Frontier before this, where I was leading the mobile team. And yes, I mean, this is more or less what I do. Devanshu, over to
That's
you.
great. Yeah, that's great. So I think we already heard your story, but since we are on StreamYard, like, can you just quickly give us a glimpse of your story again? Like how a guy who's been like working with medicines and then went to repairing phones and then become the Flutter legend.
Okay, I'll try to keep it short. So as some of you now know that I started my like walking journey when I was in eighth class. I started working at a medical store. I worked there for 4 years, and in the meantime, there was a mobile store where I used to go, and I that created a lot of interest in me for mobile phones, starting from the Symbian phones like Nokia and everything, and then I started exploring Android world. Started from Gingerbread. There was a phone called Samsung Ace at that time, and that created interest for me for learning like about Android in general. So I used to do small tricky things like breaking someone's pattern lock and all those things, and that's how I started. And when I used to go to college, I used to watch people playing Temple Run, Subway Surfer, and similar kind of games, and that's what created that interest in me, and I created my first game, I would say, as an Android app. So that was for my college. It was a very different kind of game for which college also was not happy with me because I was running a plane over my college, which is used to collect degrees. So you used to get some points for collecting degrees, and when you stuck with some teacher and or some other stuff, then you used to get negative points. So it was a fun thing for me, but apparently it was not a fun thing for my college. But I mean, that's how the journey started, and then even my college started like appreciating the fact that we were like trying to do some good stuff with technology. So and then I started my career as an Android developer. I used to also develop custom ROMs, if someone knows here, right? So there was an era where people were so much into custom ROMs. For example, even today, if you see Lineage OS and all those things like OnePlus OS, right, Oxygen OS, these are all this all came from Cyanogen mode, if you have heard about it. So Cyanogen mode was another community where people used to like create custom ROMs. There is a very popular so Cyanogen community used to create different ROMs, but Cyanogen mode was very popular. There is another community of developers coming from XDA, right? XDA developers, you might have seen it. So they also, so I used to have a Lava phone, okay, at that time. So Lava, if you have heard anyone, Lava company name, it's an
Yeah.
Indian brand. So I was not very happy with the like OS. And what I wanted is like I wanted to give it my colors, my wallpaper, and it should have somewhere written made by Pawan Kumar. So That's what made me interested in learning about custom ROMs and everything. And someone mentioned here Cyanogen TWRP, so he might be already familiar with this thing. So there was Android Kitchen and all those things. So yeah, that was also a very cool era, I would say. And then Android came, Android development I did, Django I did, Xamarin I did, and then moved to Flutter.
That's an amazing story. So let me come up to this one question, which is very controversial around the places where people, I think people have asked me so many times, and they must be like behind you asking the same question, that how long Flutter will last, and like, will it be there after 5 years? And if yes, what should they do? If not, what they shouldn't do?
Yeah, I mean, this question is very common. I mean, see, it does not matter if Flutter lasts or not for how many years, I don't know. Even I am someone who does not know like what is the future of any technology. It's not just about Flutter, right? But if you remember 10 years ago, people used to say that PHP is dying. Okay, PHP is dead. No one is using PHP. But PHP is still being used by a lot of companies. A lot of good products are still built on PHP. So the idea is that technology is not something which you should rely on. You should always rely on your fundamentals, right? So fundamentals are at the end gonna be useful for you. For example, if we take the example of Flutter widget trees, right? It works similarly on React. So it was taken from React. In fact, the idea was taken from React, and then now we see it in React Native as well, Jetpack Compose as well, Swift UI as well, right? The whole idea of declarative UI pattern. So that's what you have to learn. When you learn Flutter, you actually learn lot of things which you don't even know that you are learning, right? For example, widget tree itself
Yeah.
is part of data structure and algorithms, right? A lot of people ask me that whether I should learn DSA or not. I mean, you are already learning some part of it if you go deep inside it, and then you will find that you are already like surrounded by those things, right? And unless you understand the importance of it, you will if you'll always rely on the technology, then it's not going to helpful. So I would always say that technology can definitely die, or maybe someone will take over. So I'll give you another example. There was an SDK which used to be called Parse, Parse. Okay, it was very
Okay.
popular in tech community. A lot of people were relying on it, right? And suddenly one day it died, right? But the fact was that it was an open source SDK, right? So a lot of people created fork from it. There are a lot of startups which build on the top of it. And I'll tell you, most of the Firebase user, like initially, what were like coming from Parse itself, right? Because Firebase was not very popular at that time. It was very new. It was built on the same idea of Parse. So those kind of things happened. So I would say, um, I would say that this is something which people should consider, that don't rely on technology, but I mean, rather you should focus on the fundamentals. Once you are happy with the fundamentals, you learn about those. I mean, it's easier to switch between things, right? I mean, it's a very easy transition.
Got it. I think I totally agree. Like, I always see any framework or anything more like a tool. So it's just like, someone gave me one example long time back. Like, let's say you are a carpenter, and just like you have multiple tools, like a hammer, a screwdriver, these all are tools. So find whatever works well for you.
Yeah.
Let's start with some questions from our YouTube. I think the first question, which Manish is asking, that hey, I've been 2 months learning Flutter, but when I try to build something on my own, I get confused too much. So what do I do? And I'm also working as an intern.
Okay. Okay. Let's take this question. So, been 2 months learning Flutter. It's just 2 months. So, I mean, see, it takes time to build something on your own, right? It's not like you just learn something and it will happen suddenly and you'll get a lot of ideas. It's all about trying out things. It's all about that how much time you give to something and how much I'll give you a very easy way of doing it. Okay, so I mean, don't start with something which you don't know about, right? For example, if I am learning something, the best would be that I start with something which I already know about or I have seen that how that works. For example, if I am making a clone of let's say Twitter, right, or Instagram, right, I know how everything works because I am an active user of that application, right? So building that would be easier for you initially because it's not about that you want to create a startup out of it. It's just about that you want to learn something, right? So if you will start doing that, then it will give you a lot of confidence that okay, I know about things, I can do a little bit of my research, and then based on that I can find out some things, right? It's totally fine and it's totally normal to get confused about it, right? It's normal, it happens with everyone. It's just that we feel so special that we feel that we are the only one who are facing these issues, but I'm very much sure that all of people who are part of this live stream, they know it very well. When they started their career, it was confusing for them too, right? And sometimes you also feel like, you just want to give up because things are not working as you thought it would be, right? It's just that sometimes it's frustrating and all those things happens. So I mean, I would always say that don't get confused, just try out, build as much as you can, and try to experiment. And I think with time you will get better with it. Just believe in yourself that I am learning something new, and I am trying to get better with time.
Yeah, there's something what I can also add to this that not just for people who are starting their journey with 2 months learning, but for example, for like more experienced mobile developers starting the Flutter journey, I wouldn't say that can be overwhelming, but in the beginning, or if you're just going to the Flutter learnings, learning journey, there are so many links. There is like access to the effective Dart. Should I know every rules about how to do things in the right way in the Dart language, or should I also go to the animations part because the animations are also like edit after the UI section. So like
Yeah,
we can feel a bit like overwhelmed with the unlimited amount of classes, courses, articles, YouTube channels. Guys, don't forget to like follow Codepur, and basically like so many things is accessible and available. So having like
yeah,
the filtered and basically the journey what we can follow as like a beginner can be also helpful. So these guys don't try to know everything and understanding everything in details in the beginning. Let's try to build
yeah,
something because this is how you can learn, and then basically you can always like enhancing your applications or your ideas with more and more things.
yeah,
Yeah. So thank you, Shongo. The another question which I'm seeing a lot is from, I think like I let me just summarize. There are a lot of people which are asking similar questions. So the question is that people are like working on Flutter for some time and they are either at the junior position, because the same question we get at our slide as well, that they are working for some time, they are at the junior position and now they want to like move to the senior positions. And so the question is how they can, like what steps they can take to become a senior developer, like what it takes, what it requires in terms of skills. And I think it it is a mix of skills and attitude and a lot of things. But yeah, what all things they need to work on and gain to move from a junior or mid senior to a senior developer in Flutter. Pawan, can you hear me? Shankar, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I think
Yes.
Pawan left. Uh, some
Yeah.
internet issue.
Meanwhile, we can discuss this topic together. So basically, again, replacing the question was like, what is the best recommendations? Like how we can like reach the next step, for example, from a junior position. uh, it's not just about when we are learning or when we are discussing the topic of like moving forward in our career journey. It's not just about the technical like skill sets, but we need to basically like improving and basically like during our experience we will gain confidence of being accountable for features, for technical decisions in our company. We will, like for example, as we are juniors, then we are the people who are mentored by others, and as we will have like gaining more experiences, then we will be the mentors for others. So it's not just about the technical questions, but I think we can also like rephrase the question, or we can check another one from the slide.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
also sharing the screen from Slido so that we can take question from there itself. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. The first question is, when are you getting married?
Oh, that's the question even my family is asking me all the time. I don't have an answer for that right now, but probably someday I'll definitely let people know when it happens.
Okay. Uh, let's go to the start questions, and then we can start there. Pawan can just go on the top right and change from popular to star, uh,
Yeah,
the
I
drop
can do
down.
that. Start, yes.
Yeah, so as we
And
can
maybe
see
we
that
can,
most of these questions
may,
was related to like starting our journey
Yeah, okay.
as like, so I think we can
uh,
start with the
we
first one.
can we also remove this comment from YouTube? We have already answered it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what should be the steps to go from junior to senior Flutter developer?
Okay. I mean, again, it depends from people to people that what is their way of learning, to be very honest. But how I would say is like I try to create an imaginary roadmap, let's say, that what should be the way of doing it. I mean, see, the journey, like it's not about that. When there are two ways how you see it, right? One is that in if you're working somewhere in your job, you get promoted to, let's say, from SD1 to SD2, SD3, right? That's one way of seeing things. But for me, the important part is that how much you are growing as a developer, right? If you are a Flutter developer, if you, like, who is there to decide whether you are a junior developer or a senior developer, right? So senior, like senior developer means something which comes from experience, I would say, right? It's not something that today I join as a Flutter developer, I learn something for, let's say, 5 months, and then suddenly I start calling me like myself senior. That's not gonna help, right? That's not how it works actually. Senior developer is someone, first of all, who has the experience of dealing with things, dealing with situations, right? It can be anything. It can be like your app gets stuck suddenly. What would be your next step, right? Or your app is not able to approved by, let's say, App Store, Play Store. What would be your situation in that? Then coming back to the Flutter specific, I would say that once you learn the, like, I think everything about Flutter which you have seen, right? I personally believe that nobody can learn everything, right? Everyone knows that, right? But at least we know that by the roadmap that we start from something like, let's say, I know how Flutter UI gets built, right? I know how to work with let's say REST APIs, database, and all those things. I think the senior part comes into the picture when you also start exploring the other part of Flutter development. And that other part is that what mobile, or let's say if we're talking about mobile, then what operating system we are targeting, right? We are targeting Android, iOS, right? When it comes to web, we are targeting, let's say, Chrome, Safari, and all those browsers. And when we are talking about desktops, then we are targeting Windows, Mac OS, Linux, right? So let's take the example of mobile. If you want to become a senior Flutter dev, then probably you should know more about mobile, how those things work, right? And when you will explore those things, for example, there are a lot of people who are using camera package inside their application, right? But how much you know about that camera plugin itself, right? like how much deep you went inside the camera plugin, how that works, what are the things which was needed to build a camera plugin. Can you build a camera plugin yourself? So that's the question you should ask yourself. Can I do this? If I can do this, or let's say you open any application today, let's assume that you are building an e-commerce application. Open your application, check the packages or plugins you are using, and then try to identify that what you can build yourself, right? And that's itself an answer to your question, that how you can become a senior developer. A senior developer is not just about learning the concepts, but it's also about learning, like telling people, like the or helping people or helping their team to grow as well as they also grow, right? It's about that how you train your junior developers. When they are stuck, are you able to help them? Are you able to like fix their problems? Are you able to at least suggest some quick solutions to them, right? So that they don't have to rely on other things but rather you. So it's a combination of things. I mean, it's very difficult to answer it in one go which will work for everyone. But yes, try to correct your fundamentals, get a deep learning about your operating system. So example, if you are talking about Android, maybe you'll have to learn Kotlin, maybe you'll have to learn Swift, right? At least a little bit of it, so that you can understand how things work. And then you, once you are completed with your journey of learning those things, then probably you can jump into maybe some team management skills as well, and some other things which is very much like whatever you call a senior person, right? To have to deal with that, like it's something which any senior department person would have those skills in that is in that person. So I hope I answered a little bit of this question. If anyone of you, like maybe Divyanshu or anyone, if want to pick it up.
No, I think you answered it perfectly. I would just say that either it's junior or senior. I think what makes a big difference is how good control and command you have on the basics and how clear your basics are. And then rest of the thing, which is like learning framework and all those things, that comes over time. So yeah, well said. Uh, let's quickly go to second question, which is the best way for error handling in Flutter, for from surveys to user feedback.
I think that's a very abstract question, but I mean it depends, right? It's something which different people have different ways of dealing with things, right? And it also depends what kind of architecture you are following. Because I mean, right now by this one line, I cannot get the idea that what exactly you are facing in terms of error handling, like what are the problems. But there is no best way, which I feel that okay, this is the best way which everyone should adopt to. I mean, it depends on so many other situations, like what exactly. Um, so I'll give you an example. Okay, so some of the people, when they throw an exception, right, they throw it as a like a normal exception, right, which will be covered for everything, right? So don't do that, because when you try to do that, it creates like an understanding problem for yourself, right? That what might be causing this issue, right? You are, because you are not dealing with that error yourself. So the best thing you can do it is that you can identify different kind of exceptions which can occur, and then based on those cases you can plan yourself, right? Like what you have to do. For example, if let's say you are hitting an API and the API like failed for some reason, right? But and you just said to user that something went wrong, right? But you yourself don't know that
Yeah.
what went wrong, right? So maybe you have to uh, like understand that okay, I have to catch socket exception, right? First of all, I want to know that whether the person is actually getting some internet issues, or what are the issues, right? Is there a problem with the backend itself, or the internet is not working, whatever, right? So that's one way. But error handling is not just about REST APIs and all. It can be anything, right? So one way was obviously I think targeted by Flutter team itself was introducing null safety, right? Because they felt this issue that it's a very common practice that people do these mistakes that creates more errors, right? So the first idea should be that how you should write your code to avoid as many errors as you can, right? I mean, it's not about that you will think about it once your code is made, but rather you will plan it, right? That what should be the better way of writing this code, so that I don't reach to that point where I have a lot of errors and some unwanted errors coming from here and there. Then again, I would say that it's always a good idea to practice it, and to think about other use cases also. Sometimes we just, I mean, I have seen it everywhere. In fact, when initially someone starts their career, they only take the positive case in their mind, right? That okay, you'll go
Yeah.
to one particular button, you will hit that button, some API will get called, some response will be there, and that's it. So try to look from other perspective also. Try to find out all the other cases, and once you find all those cases, then it will be easier for you to handle those errors as well.
Uh, I don't know if like you or some others would have tried this, but like I have like tried l- again. This, like you said, this is a very uh, like abstract question. But in general, I've seen that most of the time I'm using error handling. I'm using this like some functional programming in Dart, either using FP Dart and Dart Z, and using this either if failure comes or the success come, and combining it with Bloc. But this, I don't know if this is the best way, but it has worked a lot with me, like because it
Hmm.
makes code easier for me.
And if you don't want to use any like any packages or plugins for it, it's a very good idea which you brought. You can also use sealed classes, which was recently introduced with Dart 3.
Oh
So
yeah.
that gives you the same kind of functionality. Like when I was, so when you work with any architecture, specifically if you are like using, let's say, clean architecture or something similar, right? So you can just create a simple model class which will, as Divyanshu mentioned, it will either give you a success or a failure, right? So when it gives you a success, it will also give you some data, right? And when it gives you a failure, it should also give you a message that why that failure happened, or maybe some status code or whatever. So that's a very good way of handling it. Again, it depends, right? A lot of other factors also that what exactly you want to achieve when you say about error handling.
Yeah. Um, that's great. Let's move to the next question, which is Flutter versus Compose versus Swift UI versus Kotlin multi-platform. Like, what would you suggest in the long term for career as developer? I think we have already covered this question, but I would just
Yeah, but
ask you to conclude
I
it
can,
once again.
yeah, I can give you a very easy answer to this. See, everyone is experimenting, honestly. Everyone is experimenting that whether this thing is gonna work or not. But honestly, because of Flutter, I would say, because of Flutter, it has been proved in the industry so far that this thing works, right? This approach works. The way of writing declarative UI actually is helping people. They are making better mobile app developers. How I am able to say this? Because see, I started Android when it was we used to work on Eclipse, right? And being a mobile developer was never easy, like as easy it is for web developers, right? I mean, I'm talking about the developer experience. I'm not talking about the end result which you get, but the developer experience was very very bad with mobile app development, especially because you write something, you change something, you wait for half an hour to get it like done, or you to see the results, which was very very bad. Like it was not good for productivity by any means. So when React came and that idea was brought to React Native and Flutter, it changed the perspective. And because of that perspective, Compose and Swift UI came into the picture, right? And KMM also did a lot of experiment with other things, and then finally their this model which they have right now, right? KMP. This is based on these success stories of Flutter, Compose, Swift UI, but this time they want to go native. So none of them is bad option, right? In terms of career, right? You can pick any and it will work, but it's up to your understanding and your use case that what would work best for you. But I can say that whatever you pick would be a good option only. There's enough scope for everything in the market. That's the easiest way how I can conclude it.
Yeah, I think it also makes me wonder, like when like it's like a dream of mine when there would be a day when development in mobile would be as easy as like on web. Like you just click a button, push, and websites are updated. And not only that, and plus some other things like how web makes it easier. Uh,
And see, it's still possible, by the way. It's something which you can still do, but there are a lot of if and buts, right? And the problem comes when you have to target multiple platforms, right? Because every platform works differently, right? And it's very difficult for someone to create an abstract layer on the top of it, which should work for most of the people, right? Like for example, if you're writing an API for Flutter, for the SDK itself, you have to consider everyone, right? That it should work for majority of the audience, right, or majority of the developers. So it gets that, and then there are some nuances with the platform itself, right? Someday Apple comes and they change the entire graphic engine, right? Or someday someone will come and they will change something here and there. So it gets little bit difficult. So I mean, being a mobile developer is definitely one of the toughest job, but it's the most fun thing as well, because you get the something in the hand of your, like in your hands, which is a mobile, and you can do wonders with that. That's itself a very, like, I feel it's a superpower, which is not with web. You have to
yeah,
still carry a laptop or computer, which is a little bit difficult than carrying a mobile phone.
that's
Yeah.
true.
But
Uh,
one thing, but sorry to interrupt to Divanshu. Just one thing what you mentioned, Pawan, what I really like that, talking about the developer experience, like how important is that? So good to see that like Flutter like took it seriously from the beginning. We have like amazing widget inspectors, different tooling and ways to debug like network layers, widget rendering, performance tracking. So I also see like all of us know that like there is like two type of person. One is like using Android Studio or any like IntelliJ product. The other ones is the Visual Studio Code, and like we can see basically that how many updates we are also receiving from Android Studio. That these tools and basically the tooling under these technologies are also always important. And just one last comment on this, like it's also good to see that how easy to access or run any application on Flutter. So maybe if someone doesn't have like a MacBook or like an Apple product, they can still build something in Flutter. They don't really need to have that type of technology.
Yeah, Bill. I mean, absolutely agree with whatever you said. And like I have been an Android developer, so I used to work with Android Studio and IntelliJ as well. But one reason for choosing Flutter was also VS Code, right? Because um, I mean, especially when you go out, you have to teach people and everything. You want the minimum setup, right? Which is first need. And then not everyone carries a laptop with like high configuration. Some people will have their, especially when you are a student, right? You have a lot of restrictions on what kind of product you can buy, and there are a lot of limitations. So I think that itself is a very big thing. Writing code on VS Code, I mean, it's so smooth, it's so fun, and I'm a big fan of it. Like especially that's another reason why I prefer Flutter. And yeah, I mean, it's not a war, but it's more like uh, it's a fun thing. I mean, competitions are good. Competitions make things better for end user, right? Like when there are some companies competing or when there are some tools competing, it's always good for developers for their experience. But I'm a fan of VS Code any day, because I'll tell you some reasons. Okay, the first reason is obviously it makes it easier. You have zero limitation on the machines and configurations. I mean, you have some limitations, but minimal limitations, right? Second, which is very important, is that today we are not living in an era where one thing is sufficient, right? Let's say Flutter itself, it's not sufficient, right? You have to learn other things as well, and for that you need a single tool which can help you with most of your learnings, right? And then again, VS Code comes into the picture, right? Because if you know VS, like you will just have to learn a simple tool which has certain, let's say, shortcuts and all, and you should be easy to go with any language any tool, any framework, because most of the things works directly out of the box on VS Code as of today, right? It Java works on VS Code, Swift also works on VS Code technically. But yes, I mean that's a if you want to try React, if you want to try web in general, everything works with VS Code. So that's very important point which a lot of people just ignore, but it can be very very effective in your personal growth in the future. So that's definitely something which you should consider.
Uh, yeah, a fun question on the side. Have you experimented some other IDs? Like I think there is JetBrains has come
Many
up with a new ID called yeah. It is but
I
one
have,
which they are called Fleet, like which is like targeted for
yeah,
the VS Code competitor.
but it does not support the Dart, I guess, as of now.
Yeah,
I mean,
not
see,
yeah, as of now,
if
no.
if you want to become a very good developer, na, I'll have one advice for you, for anyone. If you really want to become a very good developer, switch to Notepad, okay, and write your code there, okay, at least for initial period of time of your journey. Like someone was asking me how I should start as a beginner. Don't use any IntelliSense ID. Yeah, you can use Vim, you can use Notepad, whatever. It should not give you any ideas or suggestions. And never use ChatGPT or anything similar, like maybe some GitHub Copilot or anything like that, because that will just make you lazy. That will just make you a worse developer. Unless, see, when these tools are useful, it is useful only when you already know about those things. Okay, if let's say I know how function works, and then it creates a function for me, then it's a very good thing because it's helping me with my productivity. But if I don't know how function works and it is generating functions for me, I am nothing more than a Stack Overflow developer. I mean, that's also the wrong term to use. You are not actually a developer. You are just copying and pasting certain things here and there. So you are very good with that, but you cannot improve as a developer. So I mean, initially, at least in your initial career, try to use as much raw code you can write. Like we used to have this concept of dry run kind of thing, right? In college, that just dry run your program and show us how it will work. And still in interviews, you get those questions, right? Why? Because they want to see that how you think. They want to see what kind of problem solver you are, and how what's your idea of reaching to a solution.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's correct. Um, so the next question we have is how do you handle community work, full-time job, personal life? Okay, I think this is probably Shongar asking this question because we both discuss. No, I'm just kidding. He's not asking it, but I think, yeah, that's something like how do you do all those things together? Like, are you copying more Pawans out there?
I mean, see, it's difficult. Okay, why I'm saying this? Okay, I'll try to be as honest as possible. Okay, I will tell you that the balance is very important for anything, right? When I was in my early career, I mean, few years back, I would say, when I was struggling with my career, I was very passionate about these things, so I did not bother about looking into other things, right? Like, I mean, when I'm coding, I was just coding, right? All the time I'm coding. I am just trying to, I'm just trying to get as much productive as I can be. And sometimes you will feel that, but to be honest, in long run, it's not gonna work. So I think the balance is important. If you will see me today, and if you'll see me a few years back, my life has changed, like in a lot of things, like the how much content I produce today and how much I used to produce earlier, and then how much I am spending my time with my family and how much time I used to spend with my family, and even the community part, right? So that balance is important, and with time I realized this after making a lot of mistake, that you have to schedule it well, right? You have to organize yourself well, and that comes with practice. Okay, and once you start those things or start doing those things, it gets better for you. Don't try to run in a race which we already have been doing, like most of us, right? We are a part of a race, and every day we think that someone else is doing better than us, and that's the biggest mistake we do, right? The only thing we have to focus is that how better we are doing from our past rather than someone else's present, right? Because all the time someone will be above you and some people will be below you, right? There will never be a time that you will be on the top unless you are someone who is just born like that. So for most of the people, I consider them as an average person like me. So for you it's not going to change in one night or anything. But yeah, try to have that balance so that you can also take care of your health, you can also take care of your job, family, and community, or whatever you want to do. So how I handle is that I have like created this thing for me that okay, I have to, like, this will be my schedule. I will do this during a period of time, and then I will take some time off also. I also take care of my health. I also do yoga. I'll do some exercises also. I listen to music also. I'll do meditation, some lot of other things, because this is the era where we are living, where being a developer is not easy. I'm not talking about the technical challenges, but I'm talking about the life challenges, right? You sitting on a chair is not a very good idea for the entire day. It's a very bad idea. And you will see a lot of impact when you will go in your early 30s or late 20s, that how it will start affecting you. So if you are doing that, don't do that. And try to get better with your schedules, because and this is a very important topic and I always love to talk about it. I take a lot of calls on this, by the way, right? If someone does not know, I have this topmate .io account where I take mentorship calls and all. And I would say that some of the time I invest, like if it's a 1 hour call, half of my time goes into explaining this thing, that what should a schedule look like of a developer, right? And we have taken it for granted because we have seen the success of others, which affects us a lot, which it should not, because at the end there is nothing more important than your health and your family, right? At the end, everything like matters is your family, your loved ones, and the kind of lifestyle you are living. So don't do that. That would be my advice, and try to make the balance. Let's not go more deep inside it. For that, I'll have to start a new channel, which will be more around health and lifestyle, which I started in recently. But we'll talk about it some other day. Maybe me and Divyanshu can come.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think this is also my one of the top most interesting topics. I keep saying this, that hey, you are doing your job to live a happy life, if and a healthy life. If you're not doing so, it doesn't matter how much you grow and how good you become. So yeah,
I can give one
let's
last example
quickly.
just to prove
Yeah,
my
sure,
point.
sure.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I had a friend, okay, and he made 1 CR. 1 CR is a huge amount in India, okay. So he made 1 CR in 1 year, okay. Coming from a middle class background, it was a huge amount, right? And he did everything whichever he could during that time, right? Like he worked like really hard. He did everything. He was not sleeping. He was just working all the time. And after 1 year, he got diabetes. Okay. Now
Oh God.
he he is willing to give 2 crore, let's say 2 CR, to someone who will fix him, right? So my question is that 1 CR worth it, of like getting into something which will give you, like lifetime issues? So that's the example which, like people should learn from, that whether it's worth it or not, that should be the first question which should come to your mind, right? Like if it's on the compromise of your health or your family or your mental or physical health, whatever, then it's not worth it. Otherwise you can happily do whatever you want to do. I mean, there is no issues. Yeah, let's move
Yeah,
ahead.
I
People are
agree.
expecting more Flutter
Let's.
questions.
No, actually, I'm seeing the comments and people are really excited about what you're saying and they're really happy. So maybe you should create a video about it. Uh, Another, so we can take this block question together, which is these two questions. Is Flutter block overhyped? Is it like worth learn that for the clean architecture? And the second is block really required for clean architecture? If yes, please give me the best source to learn block. Yeah.
Okay, should I start or you'll start?
No, no, you should start. You are the expert here, not me.
I don't think Block is overhyped or anything, right? I mean, there are two different libraries, by the way. One is the Block itself, which is more about how you write business logics, and one is Flutter Block, which is different, right? Which is a third-party package made by Felix. So I am answering for both of those, right? Because the approach is similar, right? I mean, it's all about using streams at the end. That's what I want to say. So um, I don't think it's overhyped. Why? Because it's a very good practice. If you'll see, right? Why I love Block? Like the first state management library I look for is always Block. The reason is because I'll give you some of the reasons. One is that the way you write code, it's actually easily maintainable, right? It's clean, and it's very well structured, and you can easily test it. Like all those things, right? It just tick marks all of those things, right? But apart from that, it also works well for your architecture in itself because it forces you to create those things, right? I mean, for a smaller project, obviously it might not be as necessary as it like some people pretend it, but yes, for let's say for a mid project, like a mid-level project or a high-level project, let's say a bigger project, it's very useful because the way you like for example, you are writing different events, you are writing different states, right, and different blocks, and then using them together itself, an architecture in itself, right? I mean, see, this architecture word is overhyped. Okay. The block thing is not overhyped. The architecture word in itself is overhyped because people don't understand, right? See, I have seen most of the companies I have like consulted or maybe I have worked also. No one is using the once like let's say, how should I say it? Let's say there's an architecture. Let's take an example of clean architecture, right? There is no company who is not modifying it for their own needs, right? Everyone is modifying it for their own needs, and then once they modify it, they name it something else, right? Or maybe there is an extension of it which names like for example, we used to have MVC. Someone came, so he started MVP thing. So some changes were made to that, then MVVM came into the picture, especially when it comes to data binding and all. So it's all about what actually helps you in getting your job done in the best way possible, right? So I mean, if Block can help you in getting a very good architecture in terms of your code is easily readable, it's easily like testable, it's clean, everything is working for you, then why you have to worry about whether it's overhyped or anything, right? I mean, I don't find a point into that, right? It's all about that. If something is working for you, it's all good. If you are using GetX and you are happy with it, I can tell you that it's good. Why? Because if you don't have any issue, your users don't have any issue, there is no point. Users don't care what state management you are using. But if there is even one person who is facing an issue and you find it that it can affect other users also, then it's a question you should ask, that whether you are using the right thing or not, right? So that's how I see it. So yes, Block is
Yeah.
not overhyped. Architecture is definitely overhyped.
I think I totally agree on that thing, that architecture word is really overhyped. And this is one thing which I've seen, like my when I was an Android developer, and my I had friends who were who were iOS developer. In the Android world, this architecture thing is really overhyped compared to iOS one. In iOS, like they are more focused. I might be wrong, but I'm talking more about my surroundings and my friends. So they were more focused on like releasing a good product. On the Android side, people are like more focused on the architecture and how good it should be. And I was once leading a team, and there was this guy who spent like 1 week on a about screen, which just need to have a logo, the name, and the app version. and he spent 1 week on like architecting in with so many ways in Android. And yeah, I sometimes feel, and on the other hand, iOS folks are like, let's just focus on the users and user experience more.
Let's get the job done, right?
Yeah.
I see. I'll tell you, if you're working in a team, right, then definitely architecture becomes a very important part of it. Because see, you have to make thing which is easy for everyone, right? I mean, whoever is working in that team, right? You and then you will have also have to understand that tomorrow you might have to introduce more features. You might have to remove some of the things. So you have to think from that perspective. That's why you need people who can lead you, right? Or you need senior developers or people like that, right? Who can help you in deciding the fate of that particular project. But let's say today you are starting from scratch, you are just one single person, you don't have sufficient time. If you'll invest all your time in architecture, then when you will build your product? So sometimes, and not any product. See, whatever code I am writing today, I cannot say after 3 months that this is the best code I have written, right? I mean, at least I cannot say. I don't know about others, but every time I write something, after 3 months I feel that this could be better, right? There could be any, I mean, uh, somehow it could have been better. Like I could have improved it with using something else, right? I mean, there is always scope for improvement. That's what I mean. So it's like, if you see today, Uber or Facebook or any other application, they were not made like this from the first day, right? There are a lot of changes which happened with the transition of it, like how much scalability you need. Some people come to me, oh, I have to create Uber for 10 million people. Can Flutter support it? Bro, get 10 million user first, and then we will not be having this question that whether Flutter supports it or not. Because once you have 10 million people, you don't have that problem at all. Like that problem does not even exist. You will have a lot of people working for you, and you will just get your job done by some of the best in the industry, right? I mean, you will never consider those things as your first priority. So I mean, that's how I see it. Like it's not worth it all the time to think about these things.
Yeah, I totally agree. So let's just take a couple of more questions and then finally. So someone said best way to submit CFPs in tech conferences and how to find topics and ideas.
I think we lost Pawan just for a sec. Uh, Before we are jumping or till we are waiting for him, I can just add some points to the previous discussion. Like I feel that like architecture can help us, like if we especially need to work with others. So as you mentioned that if we are working alone in like in a project, then we don't need to follow every best practices what we learn. But if you are like working with others, like having these set of alignments and rules and conventions inside of an architecture, that can help us. So in those times, yeah, definitely, it's good to be considered.
Shango, Shamim is asking you like how to get an interview in Talabad. I've applied many times. No one is calling me. Do you
About
wanna,
this,
what, can you tell them the
yes,
process?
yes, and it's a like a hot topic. Just like before we continue, just want to share that like we will have like a hiring event soon in November. So please, guys, like follow us in social Talabat and checking these like advertisements. So we will have like a hiring event where we are aiming to hiring and interviewing coding interviews multiple people online virtually for different countries and positions. So, follow us, guys, and in the upcoming days, you will see like advertisement and posts and announcements about it. Yeah, but let's go back to the previous question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pawan,
I
can you
got
just
some
share
internet
your
issue.
screen?
Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah, so people who are like who don't know, I saw the Pawan's last talk in DevFest in New Delhi. There's also fun stories about it. You can ask Pawan whenever you meet him. But about CFP, I can say that he really finds very interesting ideas. And if you might not have seen that, it was about AI and machine learning and large language models and yeah, the future of mobile, I guess. So he might be the best guy how to find the best topic ideas for CFPs.
I mean, it's not like that, honestly. I myself don't know what is the best way of submitting CFPs. It may work for some events, but it might not work for many other events. I mean, they see there are a couple of ideas which I can give for sure. One is that whatever technology or whatever thing you want to talk about, how much you know about yourself, right? Or are you yourself learning about it or not, right? For example, if I am interested in AI, then only I can talk very well about AI, right? And the important part is that obviously your title matters a lot, right? Your title should create that interest in people, whoever reads that, right? And then wherever you are applying, the abstract also should be very good for them, because see, the title will be to get the like what we call eye catchy, right? Like when someone sees your title, they should be interested in knowing more about it, right? Like what's there, right? What this guy wants to explain, right? For example, last title which I used, which Devanshu talking about, is like building the future, right? Empowering mobile apps using LLM, right? So that's a very professional, simple title, but at the same time, it creates a lot of curiosity into people that, oh, really, we use LLM for mobile phones also, or what kind of future we are talking about here? Like what kind of things we can do? So that's one way of like dealing with it, is that try to get your title in the best way possible, like write it. Maybe you can think about some crazy words or anything, but your title should be good enough to catch the attention of people who are reviewing your CFPs. Then abstract, you should write the abstract in the best way possible. Don't write things which you are not able to deliver, or you are not able to like find out that what would be the things which you will do in your talk or in your workshop or whatever. So that's one thing. And how to find topics slash ideas is basically, I would say that you should see that what is trending into the industry, what is the requirement for that particular event itself where you are submitting your CFP for. You cannot submit same thing everywhere without thinking that what's happening, what is the agenda of that particular event, right? So if, like, let's say someone is seeking for Flutter developers, then obviously you have a lot of potential with Flutter ideas. And whatever best works for you. For example, if you're good with animations, right, you can be creative with your animation ideas, right? What kind of things you would like to do with animations. If you are good with architecture, maybe you can submit an idea around that. So I think it's all about trying. Initially, you will be rejected at some of conferences. That can be a very much possibility, but then you should not think about the negative parts of it, but rather think that, okay, one day I'll be selected, and then it will start from there. I myself got rejected many times, by the way, and initially also, even today I get rejected many of the times. It's totally normal.
Yeah, and I think I really like when you said that uh, you need to find the balance where things which are trending and things which you're expert in. Because
Yes.
I feel that once you go to somewhere where your expertise are, even that topic might be common, you can show people and teach them the things which they might not have seen into, and also the passionate about. So I totally like. For example, I've server-driven UI is not so hot topic, but I've worked on it so much. Whenever I
Yeah.
give, like there is a passion in me. So find the
It's your
balance
child.
where
It's your
Yeah. And that's a actually good topic also. Like if you see it from this perspective, that not every topic is has like, I mean, if you go to any event which is very popular, let's say we talk about DroidCon, let's say we talk about similar events, right? You see all the talks there, right? not every topic is a hot topic in the market, right? Some topics are much more um, oriented towards that, is this the need of the industry or not, right? For example, if you are talking about server driven UI, right? Is it a problem statement in the industry that people are looking for a solution where they want to drive the UIs through their server, right? They don't want to, maybe they will use something called RFW or anything like that, right? But is this a problem statement in itself? If yes, then obviously submit or talk about it, because there might be many people who might be like struggling with the same thing which you are struggling as well, or you struggled in the past, right? There's a high chance that people would be going through the same thing, right? And then sometimes what happens is that people's ideas are good, because I was a part of reviewing team also in some of the conferences. So we see that people's ideas are good, but we have to reject them sometimes, because either they are already being given by someone else as well, right? And we have selected them already. Or second thing can be that this person cannot make it, or we don't have enough time, or sometimes we like join them together so that they can become co-speaker and talk on around the same topic. And sometimes it's just that we don't have enough time to like give chance to everyone, because the schedule gets tight and like it's all packed. So it's not always a bad idea. I mean, sometimes it's just that the event person is not able to just let you in because of certain limitations. So just consider that also.
Yeah, Shongo, you do you want to add anything on that? Because we have been creating a lot of great CFPs.
But I want to add that I think we were in the lucky situation that we are receiving like tons of like abstracts from the people of our community. I think last time we had like a really tough time to like be able to like select the main ones. And guys, it was and it was really tough and it was hard. And all of those like call for papers, we really wanted to like provide like a stage for letting you guys to give talk about it. But as Pawan also highlighted that sometimes an event has a theme. Sometimes we are with Divyanshu and Samya and with the organizers, we are also trying to see the roadmap of the community that okay, last time we spent basically the meetup with like beginner topics, or we were discussing the UI topics. Then let's try to keep the second one. For example, can we use Flutter in different platforms? Should we somehow like put some hints about the Dart frog and other technologies? So sometimes we are also thinking about frameworks, what we are not like really highlighting as like a subtitle or something. But please, guys, don't like like try not to like try to like encouraging yourself and gaining some power, even if you like your talk will be rejected, because maybe in the second time or in the future it will be definitely would be we would definitely miss it. So guys, please
Yeah,
don't give up.
yeah, uh,
Absolutely.
that's true. Don't give up. So, Pawan, we are running a bit late. So, why don't you just answer all these three questions within a line or two? I
Okay.
know
So
it's
the
very
first
hard.
question
I
I
know
can
it's very
see.
hard. Yeah.
No, it's very easy for me. What are the cons of being a GD? It's similar to be like the cons of being a human, I would say. It's as simple as that. If you can find cons of being a human, you will find a con of being a GD. So I don't think there is much I can answer about it. But I mean, jokes apart, there is no cons, right? If you get an recognition, it's always how up to you how you can utilize it. So there are more pros than thinking about cons. That I don't think there is any con if I even if I want to think about it. Any tips
Yeah.
of hiring senior Flutter developers? I mean, see, every company has different perspective that what they are looking for, what is their area where they want a senior person for. But I would say that if you are applying as a senior Flutter developer, then the least expectation is that you understand Flutter very well, right? This is the least expectation. And the most expectation is that you know about a little bit about other technologies as well. Like for example, you'll know a little bit about native Android, or because this is the common thing which I have seen in the industry, and it's for obvious reasons, right? Because you are applying as a senior developer, then they are expecting that you know a little bit about what's happening in the industry in general as well. So if you have a little bit idea of, at least the idea of that how other things are working, if you have experience with writing Kotlin, Swift, or maybe Swift UI or Compose, then you get a better chance of getting hired. And again, just make sure that you understand the job requirement very well, or you read the JD well. Don't apply randomly everywhere. That's also not a good idea. Sometimes you have to read that is it job, like, it does not mean that if you are a senior Flutter developer, then you are like fit for every job there, right? Sometimes depends on the company what they are looking for. So just stick to that. Will AI and ready-made tools like Flutter 4 replace Flutter developer jobs? I don't think so. It's as simple as that, right? I mean, these tools are there, and these tools used to be there before Flutter came. These tools were always there. But yes, these tools can be helpful for some people who are looking to get their job done and they don't have any programming experience, right? But if you have a programming experience, why you want to go to something which does not give you superpower, rather than it just restricts your power, right? If you have a chance to get your superpower in the best way possible, then go to that side rather than picking something which is restricting you, right? But if someone does not know anything about this, then obviously it's a very helpful tool for those people. Like for maybe those people can be from marketing industry, business side, or whatever, right? They might not be programmers. So if you are a programmer, I think, as I said, use VS Code, or maybe use just as I think Songor mentioned, use Vim. That's your superpower. So similarly, if you are a programmer, you can use just native Flutter development rather than going to any specific tool for all those things. Let's also, because I'm trying to give it fast, let's take last two questions from the YouTube comments also, because I think
Uh,
these
yeah,
people were missing us.
yeah. So I think Shahzad says that so if you can do DSA on Dart, they could not understand many
Acha, I
logic
think
as
this is
simple answer.
an answer to something.
Okay, yeah, I think. Oh, so Shahzad himself says that. Yeah, okay, no, that's an answer again. That's
I think the
so I
question
think.
was like, is DSA important, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, see, it's good to learn DSA. There is nothing bad in learning DSA. I mean, I personally feel that it should not be a barrier though. But if you learn DSA, there is nothing bad into that, right? If you'll get better opportunities, and I mean, at some point of time, you are already learning about DSA, but you are just not aware that you are learning, right? If you are learning about Flutter widgets, as I gave the example in the beginning, that itself is a part of DSA. So it's totally fine, I guess. Okay, let's stop the screen share.
Uh,
So I mean, yeah,
yeah.
just do it.
One last question. Saurav asks is Flutter good choice for PWA, progressive web apps? Does Flutter Web is stable for the industry level web apps?
PWA has certain limitations. I was also trying one of the ideas for Flutter, like using PWA. It works, but not for everything, as I said, right? So you have to be very specific about your use case. You have to, I mean, if you are doing anything serious around Flutter Web, right? Whatever is your most difficult feature, right? Or whatever you feel that is the most important feature, try to do a POC on that. It's as simple as that, right? If you get a POC out of it, you should choose it. If you are not able to get the POC out of it, just choose something else. It's as simple as that, right? For example, if my app heavily relies on augmented reality, then the first POC I need to do is how Flutter works with augmented reality, rather than if I'll be able to write UIs or whatever, right? So your main idea should be your first POC in itself. If you are able to do it, like if your application revolves around Bluetooth, then the first thing you have to do is Bluetooth. Second thing you have to do is with camera or whatever is your second feature, right? So if you will try to go with that mindset, I think it will be easier to decide.
Uh, yeah, and I think I feel the same. Like from my experiments, you can get like 80% work done with the PWA apps and the Flutter web. Like you said, you need to see what exactly you are doing, and then, like you have said before, like we were discussing, it's all tools. So you need to find the best tool which fits for you. So,
Also, one thing which I would like to mention is, see, there are some pros and cons of using Flutter for web, or let's say Flutter in general, right? So you have to understand that what product you are making and how much that product is important for your consumer. Like for example, if I'm making a web application, right, and I'm making a mobile application as well, then I know my audience or my user base very well, that whether my primary audience comes from mobile or from web, right? So if let's say my primary audience is mobile, but I also want at the same time, if web experience would be there, then it will be good, right? Then my focus should be on mobile side, then Flutter probably is a good choice. But let's say your main audience is on web, right? Mobile is just an addition to that, right? For example, if we take an example of, let's say, GitHub in itself, right? Then I think you use GitHub more on web rather than on mobile, right? But yes, on mobile also now you can do certain things, but mobile was never their first idea, right? It was all web, right? So then I think it's very important that you give your users best experience for that, right? So if that's the kind of use case you are having where web is your primary goal, right, and especially when you have to deal with millions of people coming to that platforms, then definitely try to give the best experience, whether Flutter or something else. So be choosy when it comes to what kind of application your user is looking for. And if it's an addition, then I think it's fine. Anything is fine.
one last question, and then we can say goodbye. Uh,
Yes, of
can
course.
so Shahzad asked, like, can we use Firebase for big projects, or we will shift to MongoDB or other databases?
I know many companies who use Firebase for big projects. Okay. But there is a but. The but part is that you should very well know how, like, efficiently you are using Firebase, because there are a lot of bad practices which I have seen people doing, which just raises their money, right, in terms of their transactions, their like how much they are spending on certain things, because they are not optimizing it well, right? So if you are that person, then either you have to learn the optimization skills, that what should be the better way of doing that, or I mean, it's not also a bad idea to try some like your own backend or writing your own backend if you have a team for that. Obviously, who uses Firebase? There are companies who use Firebase because they don't have, let's say, backend developers. There are companies who much more rely on other Firebase features as well. So I mean, you have to understand this particular fact in itself, and if you are already using Firebase and you are not happy with it, then probably you will try to look for other options. But if you are happy with Firebase and you feel that your bills are coming very like expensive, or something is wrong with you, or your settings or whatever, right, then you have to take a look and try to find that problem and fix it, and then you can choose like whatever you want to, based on, if you are feeling that now you have optimized Firebase in the best way possible, then probably you can. If you are still not satisfied, then yeah, it's fine to choose your own backend. It's totally up to
Yeah,
you.
I think I have a really good story where I worked with a company and they were using Firebase and they had like lots of users. So and their bill was very high for Firebase, but they were also earning a lot with the help of Firebase because they get to start soon, like you said.
Yeah.
So they were fine, but the problem was the it keep increasing, and then they were like, oh, and then when I joined and when I saw, for example, Firebase, every read and write, it costs money. So for every screen, they were calling user database instead of just calling it and
Yeah.
storing it in the memory. So it crossed the bill crossed the roof for per month. It
And
was
that,
like,
that
I don't know. It
that's
was
what I'm saying. And another big factor is the database itself, right? If you are not someone who are who don't want to go to NoSQL database, right? It's a big no in the start itself, right? Because there are many people I know, like there are many developers also, they prefer SQL over anything else, right? They are very brilliant SQL developers. Then use that domain knowledge, right? And maybe you can use something, let's say Supabase or something, if you want to go that way. Otherwise, building your custom backend, it's totally fine. I mean, just use it. Don't think much about it if you have the experience in yourself.
Yeah. I think next episode gonna be back end with that.
We can do that as
But
well.
yeah, but Pawan, thank you so much for coming here. I think there's so many questions still lined up on Slido and here, but hopefully we'll answer it sometime in future. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us with the Flutter UAE community, and I think Flutter community around the world and India. So thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much for having me, first of all, and it's a pleasure meeting the Flutter UA team, at least virtually. But yeah, I mean, we will definitely try to do more of it, and we will try to find some more ideas also, that what are the things which people are looking for, and how we can collaborate and probably do better things for the community, and can come up with more ask me anything kind of thing as well. So thank you
Yeah,
everyone. Thank you Flutter UA team, and it was a pleasure.
Thanks, Pavan, for joining.
thank you.
It was also a pleasure for having you, and thank you so much for the great recovery. You saved us.
Absolutely. And I am sure that a lot of people who did not get their answer, they will stick to us. Like we will definitely come back with more such events, or maybe on YouTube you can see definitely a lot of tutorials. You can also follow all these people. Maybe you guys can share your like social links in the comment itself. Is it possible? Then I think
Uh,
it would be easier.
yeah, yeah. Let me just get my Twitter.
Yeah, and then I can highlight it for some time as well. Maybe we can just take 1 more minute or so.
Basically, guys, you can also find us in LinkedIn and Twitter, or X, sorry, not Twitter, the Flutter Abu Dhabi and Dubai, the basically meetup series. And yeah, also thank you so much for everyone who basically submitted any questions. You can guys also get in contact with us on the social. Also, we have like our own dedicated Slack channel. So please feel free to reaching out us, and we are happy to answering your previously shared questions. Thanks, Pavan.
Thank you so much. And I think where we can get the links of your socials from
Uh,
Twitter, maybe.
I think I'm not able to post it for some reason. This is the comment has failed to post. Okay,
Can can
anyway.
can you
Uh,
can you share with me? Can you share with me in the private chat itself? I can just post it. Maybe Flutter UA
yeah,
link where we can. So this one is Divyanshu's. I am just
I'll
commenting it,
yeah I'll share the Flutter UAE
and I'm
meetup,
just
and I
open
think we
meetup.
would
This
love
is
to see
really
you.
bad.
Yeah, we would love to see you in person meetup in UAE someday.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I am planning it, but I don't know when it will happen, but very soon that we can definitely do. And I'm also um like highlighting the link for joining the Flutter AD meetup group, right?
Yep.
So this is the link of it, meetup.com/flutter dash AD. Like, okay, cool. So I think one more we have for 1 second.
Stronger.
Stronger one is something which I am again pasting. Okay. I have a bad habit of copying it in a in such a way that
Copy paste
okay,
development.
this is
Nice.
Stronger's Twitter account. So you please feel free to follow him on Twitter, and I think most of us are very active on Twitter or X, right? So So
Yeah.
if you have any question, you can post it there by tagging any of us, and then also we can try to answer if possible. Like we will be active on Twitter. So that's there. All right, guys. So let's end
Okay
it
then.
up. We are right on time. It's 10:30 in India, and I think it's 9 in UAE, right? So pretty good.
Yeah.
And probably other links you can find through these links itself, right? I mean, if you go to these links, there will be other links as well. So this by this, let's end this stream. And thanks, guys, for doing this through my channel, because that's something which I think helped other people also to be a part of it, and I'm really very grateful for this. So see you next time, and yeah, let's hope that we will meet soon in person as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming, and thanks everyone for joining.